Yeah, this part 3 I forgot. It took me years. In my early 20s, from like 19 to 22, something like that, I realized that what was going on. Because people would say some weird stuff to me. I used to read a lot of and study a lot, and people would say, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? Why are you doing all this reading and studying and trying to learn about the world and stuff? Like, what the hell kind of question is that?" Because I want to know. So I began to learn that people had this weird, crazy, like, need to maintain their ignorance for some reason. For some reason, knowledge is shunned by a lot of people, and I began to realize that there had to be some kind of reason for this. And going back into history, I studied the history of everything. I studied the history of finance, the history of the sciences, the history of politics, the history of warfare, relationships, religion, you name it. And what it seemed like was that the greatest minds in history, if you go back to like before the 20th century, all of the greatest minds in history, whether they be political, whether it be the sciences, big in the sciences, and finances or whatever, they were all mystics, and what I mean by a mystic is somebody that tries to understand what the causes of what non-material means cause the effects of what's going on in the material world. You know what I'm saying? Trying to see beyond this three-dimensional world. Isaac Newton, who many consider to be the most important scientist of all time, he was one of the biggest mystics in Europe. He was an alchemist. I mean, this dude believed that he tried to recreate the floor plan of Solomon's temple because he believed that the mathematical proportions involved could give him a better understanding of how the universe was created mathematically. And he was right too, because a lot of it was based off the phi proportion, right? 1.68, right, or the logarithmic spiral, or the Fibonacci series, or whatever you want to call it. That's the basic mathematical proportion of all self-replicating systems that the Lord God used to create the universe. So these people, if you go back to like Nikola Tesla, who basically created the technology that's used in the 20th century, our electrical systems are all created by Nikola Tesla. He was the first one to take an X-ray. He created the incandescent light bulb. He was the first person to teleport matter from one place to another in the 20th century. And they didn't wipe him out of history, but he was a mystic, man. He was a big time mystic. He studied with the Indian yogis that taught him about the Akashic records and the Akasha, which is the energy that pervades everything in the universe, like the Force, like Yoda, right? In Star Wars, I said the Force is all around us. It creates everything. It keeps everything together, and the Jedi moves and uses the Force as its power base. Like yogis believe the same thing. They call it the Akasha, or they call it prana, this life force energy. The Japanese call it ki, right? The Chinese call it chi. So anyway, my point is that people, great minds in history, were mystics, and they knew and they sought this understanding of this knowledge because it would give them the ability to control the events in their lives, right? So a lot of your rulers, like if you really look, a lot of the presidents and a lot of the heads of CEOs and stuff like that are part of secret organizations and secret societies that kind of pass this knowledge on, that the world is more than just three dimensions, right? But they want us to believe that this is all there is to reality, just this material world. And this all goes all the way back to the Egyptian mystery schools, where they taught that all things begin from one point, okay? And all forces in the universe are created from one force, okay? And all this knowledge is coming back out today. But between Egypt and now, or if you go back to Phoenicians, Mesopotamia, all that stuff came from Atlantis. Between that time and now, this knowledge was only given to the hierarchy in society, to the ruling priests, kings, ruling military leaders, or if you were rich enough to access it, right? So if you don't understand that the world is more than just this three-dimensional material plane that we live on, it's more than just what you taste, touch, feel, or smell and see, then you are at a great disadvantage to people that do understand this. And the people up top, believe me, that they hoard this knowledge and they keep it from the masses. So what I did was I started seeing references to this and studying the great scientists and mathematicians. It seemed like they knew something more than what they showed me that these cats knew in school, right? So I started getting into this, man, and I started to learn, okay, I see what's really going on now. Most people operate within the matrix, right? They operate within these created institutional systems that are designed to be mind control projects and feed you what you're supposed to think rather than encouraging you to think on your own. And they withhold the true knowledge, which is that you were created in the image and likeness of God. And that, like Jesus said, if you speak to a mountain and believe in your heart and your mind that it will be so, that mountain would have to move, right? Jesus walked on water, could teleport. You know, Jesus was telepathic, you know, seeing the future, all that kind of stuff, because he understood this, not just because he was the son of God, but because he studied in Egypt when he was a child. Right? Gabriel told Joseph, the angel told Joseph in the dream to take the child to Egypt. And he was there until the death of King Herod, because Herod wanted to kill him. He studied this in Egypt. He was a prince, and the Egyptians knew it. They seen his star in the east in the sky. You know what I'm saying? And they taught him. Right? But Moses was taught the same thing. So was King Solomon. So was Joseph. And Jesus tried to teach us, but we ain't paying attention. So anyway, I don't know. You know, this wasn't no real structured lecture or nothing, man. But I just wanted to kind of get that out there, man, before I take my little hiatus. That just to encourage people that, you know, to look beyond what's going on, to get into studying about the etheric body, your aura field, the meridian system, right, the chakras. Right, this is this is energy. This is not just BS, you know, new age stuff. The earth has an electromagnetic field, right, that's shaped like a donut, like a torus. The human body has an electromagnetic field that's shaped the same way, because we're from the earth. God took the dust of the ground and formed Adam's body, right? We 80% water, so is the earth. I mean, it's the same thing. It's a feedback system between us and creation, right? Anyway, I just encourage, you know, people to kind of look more toward past what's going on. 2012 is coming up. Why we had this huge phase shift in consciousness that's coming, right? And we have, you know, the devil has a short time to do what he has to do. So his job is to deceive mankind. You know, it's the point. It's just the point. You know, if you want to look at the Mayan calendar, then Cass was telling the truth. A lot of the Mayan scientists and prophets were speaking the same thing John wrote in the book of Revelations. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't make any sense for us to continue to maintain our ignorance because the people up top told us to. You know, if you want to have a successful life, a successful relationship, you're going to have to get yourself right with the Lord and understand who you are as a metaphysical being and not just this body. Anyway, that's it. Y'all stay up, man.